Ba-dum-bum. And we're back.
We're live.
Welcome to Awesome Hardware Part 2. This is episode 10.
Episode 10, Part 2.
Episode 10, Part 2. It's amazing.
So,
and we recently hit 300 viewers in Paul's half of the segment.
People said we would
earlier.
never get to the 10th episode.
They said we'd never make 300 viewers.
Today we proved them wrong.
They said we couldn't do it.
Indeed.
They were wrong.
All you haters out there.
That's right.
Screw you.
They said Paul couldn't chug a beer. Well, actually, he couldn't, but, you know.
I'll chug this beer right now. Even though I failed.
The two shots have been left.
My other attempts.
That's okay, but thank you guys for
I'll
watching.
have nothing left to drink if I did that.
Thank you guys for staying tuned. Okay. For those of you watching the rebroadcast uploaded on my channel, thank you for coming. Go ahead and head over to Paul's half of the segment if you haven't seen it already. We talked about some really cool stuff that we're also going to be continuing off here in my segment. But other than that, I don't think I have any announcements. Paul did a pretty cool video finishing up his side panel mod for his Define R5.
Why, thank you.
You should go check that out. I've got a video on some stuff, products that you guys might be interested in. I just took a look at Be Quiet's Shadow Rock LP cooler, which was a pretty amazing cooler, by the way, for being so low profile. But go ahead and check those out. Also, go to our stores, paulshardware.net, to buy some shirts.
Did you keep that on the down low?
Keep it on the down low. What, the low profile cooler?
That was terrible timing.
It's really
Sorry.
Poorly timed, Paul.
Sorry.
Go ahead and check out my store, awesomesaucenetwork.com/store, and you can buy some stuff there. Represent Joe.
I'm gonna be kind of running the show today on the like technical side here.
Okay.
Other than that, though, I'm not gonna be doing much. I'm gonna try.
What do you mean?
What?
You mean on this half of the show?
I just don't want people to have any expectations for me. That's really what I'm coming down to.
Why? Was the beer too strong?
Yes.
Oh no.
Look, I'm not saying nothing's gonna happen. I'm just saying don't expect it. If something happens, that'll be nice.
So you're just setting the bar really low.
Yeah, I want to set a low bar.
Under promise, over deliver.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's what I'm going for here.
All right. That's a good idea.
Speaking of,
don't expect anything of me either.
I'm going to try to open the rest of your your links over here.
Putting beer far away from the laptop.
Good idea.
There we go. All right, so we have a good second half of the show for you today. Starting off with news, basically where Paul left off on. First off, Gabe Newell. We talked about this a little bit on Paul's half of the show.
We did.
And how he kind of responded to the whole negative feedback, the copious amounts of negative feedback on paid mods for games and stuff like that. He said, I think he approached it from a really smart standpoint, and it made a lot of sense, the things he said. So I kind of wanted to go over some of those things. And there have been so many updates in the last week, even in the last few days alone, that I wanted to address, because Steam basically started their paid mod market on for Skyrim mods, with co-hosted by Bethesda Studios.
Yeah, so Skyrim was the first game that had paid mods.
Right.
They were immediately hit with a backlash. There was a lot of negativity about how they were going about it online.
And they've all been canceled.
And, well, according... Yes, right now...
They've all been removed. All the paid mods...
As of today...
As of today.
There are no more paid mods.
Right.
So Steam has rolled that... Valve has rolled that back. And...
Right.
If you watched the first half of the show, we've already had a bit of a debate kind of going back and forth about this.
Yeah.
And it's not like a cut and dry question and answer in my mind.
Right. We were talking about this earlier, and you told me, like, off camera, behind the scenes, you were like, I think there was a place for paid mods. I just think Valve executed it poorly for their first run. And I completely agree. I don't think that going so headstrong with it this first run was really the best idea. I think they should have brought it on a little bit more lightly and kind of eased into the transition of the idea of paid mods, because this is something where this used to be a free commodity. It used to be a free thing that now has a price tag on it, and that's going to freak a lot of people out. Even people that are, potentially for it are going to be a little taken aback, and I think they just kind of went too headstrong on it. Their first run.
So I think the pitfalls that you're looking at with the way they launched it originally, and obviously, as we've already shown you guys, they have taken a step back, and that's one thing that I think we've seen Valve do in the past.
And they're refunding the complete amount for anyone who spent money
anyone who
on
bought a
the
mod
Skyrim
is getting
mods.
a refund.
Right.
They're rolling back just everything right now, so there's no more paid mods for the time being,
Right.
and they're going to take another look at it, which I think is a good way to do it.
Yeah.
When you get a backlash as negative as the one that they've received over the past 2-3 days, showing that like, hey, we understand you guys don't like this, we're going
Right.
to take another look.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to go about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think Lord Gaben, I'm sorry, has handled the situation very well. I mean, he knows how to handle a bad situation. He understands that community outreach is very important, and being able to respond personally to all the people that have these grievances is really crucial to turning things around or just making things more optimized for all of the customers and all the gamers. So, and going back to what you said, like, he responded really well and timely. He did an AMA on Reddit. I don't know if you know.
He did, yeah.
But yeah, he did an AMA on Reddit, and he said a lot of good things. So I'm just going to read a few quotes here. He said, "Skyrim is a great example of a game that has benefited enormously from the mods. The option for paid mods is supposed to increase the investment in quality modding, not hurt it." So obviously, yeah, I mean, that's a positive statement, and he's kind of explaining where he's coming from, and that makes a lot of sense, but still, there's negative backlash, and for good reason in certain regards. So he also went on to say, "Our goal is to make modding better for the authors and the gamers. If something doesn't help with that, it will get dumped. Right now, I'm more optimistic that this will be a win for authors and gamers, but we're always going to be data-driven." So it's kind of nice that he's not completely set in stone. Like, I don't care what you guys say, I'm going to go through with this no matter what. He's saying if it turns out to not benefit both the gamers and the modders, then they're going to go back to the drawing book and find another workaround.
So, and I mean, I think there's two things that people who have previously been PC gamers, used the Steam platform, and have used mods in particular, because not everyone even dives into the modding scene on Steam, is afraid of.
Right.
The two things are, one, that the mods that they've previously enjoyed will now be behind a paywall.
Yeah.
And two would be that due to the fact that mods are now paid, and that there's the idea that you can make a mod and then directly profit from that, would be a proliferation of crappy mods, or like half-ass mods that are just kind of like put together to like throw it up on Steam, and then maybe some people will buy it, and then you'll get some money.
Sure.
Or even worse than that, people who would look at a mod that somebody else has done. And this has been a lot of the questions that were raised that I think were very valid, was that somebody else has done a mod. I take that mod, either the mod directly and modify it myself, or the concept of that mod and kind of build it myself.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a question of like ownership, like who actually created that mod.
Exactly.
Somebody made a crappy mod, I took it and made it better.
Right.
Do I own that mod, or does the person who kind of made the original basis of that mod own it?
And that was never an issue before the concept of monetization was introduced.
Because who cares? I made a free mod, you took my free mod and made it better, now everyone's happy.
That camaraderie was acceptable, and now it's a bit more like whose property is this? Who actually owns the rights to this modification if you're going to be charging for it?
Yeah.
And also, like little things like if you downloaded a free mod and there was some little bugs or some issues with it, they would usually be swept under the rug. It's a free mod, the guys, whatever. Yeah. But now it's going to be looked under a bit more scrutiny because people are paying for it. So there's all these issues that arise when you're talking about charging a fee for something that was previously free, and how that's going to change the community. And I think building upon what you were saying, like, yeah, you might have this influx of really crappy mods that people just trying to, get an extra buck or whatever, making a crappy mod and selling it for $1 or $2. But I also think that would also increase the amount of good mods out there. People who might just be like, I'm really good at modding, but I don't really see the point other than it's a personal hobby of mine. Now they see an investment opportunity and they're like, wait, I can maybe do this for a living potentially. I could make like an actual business out of this. And then they create awesome mods that we play for years to come. I mean, that's a possibility as well.
So here's an idea that I've developed and cultivated over the past, say, 20 seconds or so.
Legendary.
Here's what Valve has done well in the past is they've done a pretty good job with crowdsourcing.
Yeah.
They do that. I mean, they have a huge amount of PC gamers in general who go to their site, and they garner lots of information from that, like the Valve or the Steam hardware survey, for example. Great example of that. We get lots of data from that. So what I would like to see Valve do is reapproach this in such a way where they're actively taking the feedback of the community in order to help curate the mods.
Yeah.
To where, like, I mean, obviously you have to put stuff in place so it's not exploitable and that sort of thing. But, like, look, if a mod has such a positive reaction to it, a certain number of downloads of it, a certain number of, like, established, yes, this is good, people are responding well to it, and people keep coming back to it to, like, access it and everything, then that kind of sets it up for, like, further review from actual Valve employees who are kind of actual, you know, a real person who's looking at these and trying them out and whatever. And then they would go from there and say, okay, this mod is successful, this mod is popular, this mod is maybe even improving the sales of the game or something like that.
Sure.
It's creating a direct monetary benefit for Valve.
Right.
So here's where we should take that mod creator, elevate them, put them up on, you know, bring them up to the paid tier.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Right.
And maybe not even, like, take away the unpaid stuff that was there, but say, like, hey, we're going to take your mod, work with you, make it better, and make a paid version of it or something like that.
Right.
Like, something like that would give people the idea that, like, okay, we can still have our free mods.
Yeah.
We can still have that stuff that, you know, just some random person in there, you know, has, you know, taken a few hours and put together to enhance the gameplay or whatever.
Yeah.
Or we also have this other tier where, like, for $5 or $3 or $2 or whatever, I can pay to get a mod that I know is going to be good.
Right.
So, like, I can dabble in the free stuff and see what's there, or, like, I got the paid stuff there that's already vetted. And I think that's kind of a way they could go about it to appease not just the gamers, but also appease the game developers as well. Because, you know, they're not just trying to appease the community at this time. They're also working with developers. And different developers are going to have different like, approaches to this. Rockstar, for example, has, from what I've read at least so far, has said that they really have no interest in this.
Yeah.
That for the rocks for like GTA 5 modding, which I think is going to be huge.
Right.
So to see something like that, I'll be like, well, it's also Rockstar, and they probably have money falling out of their butts because they're so successful already. They don't need it.
Exactly.
So thank you for a company like Rockstar to say, like, you know what, people make mods and they should all be free because we're already cool.
Right.
That's fine.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think there's also an issue though, like if you have certain staff members of Valve seeking out modders who potentially have, you know, good ideas and good execution of their work that they want to back, that also requires a team of staff to kind of cultivate those individual modders, to seek out and start cultivating these modders. That kind of overhead just wouldn't exist if you just let them operate on their own. You know what I'm saying? Like trying to build a community of them, like, is going to require more work and more overhead, and that might potentially lead to things like having to take a larger cut from the modders themselves to cover that additional, I don't know, that workload. But I mean, yeah, it can go either way, honestly. But all in all, I wanted to give a quick give another quote that Gaben released. I'm not sure if this was on the AMA or not, but I thought it was quite interesting. This was a link that Paul sent me earlier. There was a Redditor that had claimed, kind of accused Valve of being money hungry, and that's the whole reason why that they were doing this paid mod thing. And Gaben fired back with a pretty interesting statement. He basically said, let's assume for a second that we are stupidly greedy. So far, the paid mods have generated $10,000 total. That's like 1% of the cost of the incremental email the program has generated for Valve employees. Yes, I mean pissing off the internet costs you $1 million in just a couple of days.
Yes.
That's not stupidly greedy. That's stupidly stupid. You need a more robust Valve is evil hypothesis.
Now, if I were to take a more negative and sardonic response to that, and not that I am in any way trying to detract from anything Lord Gaben has said here.
Yeah.
But my response would be, I feel like Valve should be spending more money on their ability to respond to people and their customer service in general.
Yeah.
Because that's something that's come out over the past week.
Yeah.
People say, I've seen multiple tweets of people saying like, hey, for as much as I love Valve and as much as I love Steam and how well it works and access to games and Steam sales and all that stuff, the Steam customer service is awful.
Yeah.
Like, really, really lacking. And Valve has even acknowledged this. Gaben has acknowledged this.
Yeah.
So him saying that just this launch has cost them X amount of dollars, because you're looking at dollars like if you guys haven't worked in a call center before, dollars, like time equals money. That's pretty much what it comes down to. If you have a call center and you have a certain number of calls coming in, and you have a certain number of agents on the floor, and you have a certain number of minutes that each call takes for that agent to be on the phone talking to the person to resolve their issue, that's money.
Yeah.
And that's what he's equating this to. And he's basically saying, like, look, we wouldn't have done this right now. This would be a pretty stupid business decision for somebody in our position to make if all we were about is money. Yeah. Because right now, this is costing us way more than we're making.
Yeah.
We've made about 10 grand. It's costing us
millions.
Over $1 million at least.
Yeah.
Just in the amount of time it's taken in man hours to come back and respond to the number of inquiries they've received.
Right.
Now, I would say, Gaben, you need to be spending more money on that area of Valve overall, because that's the one thing I think that to me at least strikes me as like this is a really and honestly like negative thing you can talk about Valve with is like their customer service and response to people and that sort of thing. Yeah. But at the same time, like this is what I like about Gaben. Like when he comes and replies to something, one, he immediately does a Reddit AMA.
Yeah.
Him directly.
Yep.
Answering people directly. Two, like the way he approaches it feels like your buddy, right?
Yeah.
It feels like your friend who's like who you've hung out with since you were 12 and been playing video games.
It's not some corporate line that he crafted to be as neutral and political as possible to like not sway one way or the other. It just seems like straight up this is what I feel. It seems like some guy
being like, look, you have a basic understanding of business, as do I. Do you really think we would have made this decision purely because we thought we'd make millions of dollars from it?
Yeah.
No. What they're trying to do, and I believe this, is they're trying to improve the modding scene. They're trying to provide some benefits for the mod creators, and I have no problem with that as well. But as they've acknowledged, they need to kind of take a step back and be like, hold on, let's reevaluate how we're approaching all this.
Lord Gaben is love. Lord Gaben is light. I stand behind him.
Yes. Praise Gaben.
Take up arms.
Okay.
Yep. All right, so that's going to do it for that segment, or at least for that story.
That was a long intro story.
Yes, it was. And I'm going to try to make this part of the show a little bit shorter than it was last week, because I know we kind of rambled on for like an extra hour after that.
Last week's show was like 3 hours total.
Yeah, it was a little intense. I know you guys got other things to do, so I'm going to try to speed it up here. All right, moving on, AMD Godavari. I don't know how to pronounce it. Paul, help me.
Godavari?
Godavari. I'm going to say Godavari, like Godiva.
It's like chocolate, right?
Like chocolate.
Isn't there chocolate?
Godavari.
Didn't you have chocolate? Where did all of that go?
The chocolate's in the bowl. There's a bowl of chocolate over there. You want some chocolate?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yes, you do. I'm gonna bring the bowl of chocolate over.
No, Kyle.
I'm just here. Okay. Just take a little.
Oh, just a tiny bit.
Just a smidgen.
Just this little piece.
Yeah. Just get in there.
Oh, this piece is larger than I expected.
Oh well. I usually deliver the large.
Covered in chocolate.
That's so good. All right. AMD Godavari. Godavari. Jesus. Godavari APUs launching in May.
TMG says Godavari.
Godavari. Sweet. So, these are basically Godavari refresh APUs. They're going to be built on the same 28 nanometer architecture as Godavari. So, you're going to see a bit of a clock increase. There will be a core clock increase. Clock speeds will increase, but ultimately not too much else beyond that. It still includes 4 steamroller cores. You get 512 steam processors, a dual-channel DDR4 memory controller, and HSA, which is a heterogeneous system architecture.
Yes.
It's a good way for the CPU and the GPU to pool their resources and work on everything together, which is going to maximize your performance a bit more. Uses the same FM2 Plus socket, so it's compatible. You can drop it right into existing FM2 Plus motherboards.
Godzilla. We should just pronounce it Godzilla.
Godzilla! The AMD Godavari APU launches in May.
Oh, this is getting chocolate everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Just spread it all over. Recent reports say that instead of moving ahead with the A8000 series, this launch of Godavari APUs is probably going to stick with the existing A7000 series nomenclature. And that makes sense because this isn't a huge leap and bound beyond Godavari. It's still using the same 28 nanometer process. So I think they're going to be saving A8000 for things like Bristol Ridge or Raven Ridge, things like that, which is coming in 2017. But this is still interesting enough if you are looking for the next level of APU. Maybe you can't afford discrete graphics, or you just want something super small form factor where a discrete graphics card just wouldn't fit. The Godavari APU is coming in May, which is just right around the corner, so interesting stuff. By the way, the Bristol Ridge is still going to be using excavator cores. But once we get to Raven Ridge, they're going to switch over to using the next-gen Zen cores from AMD. So we'll probably see an even bigger boost in performance then. But that's all I wanted to say about that.
I will say one thing.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm tired of their Earth Mover acronym, or not acronyms, but just their Earth moving things. Because every time I see something about excavator cores or pile driver or like bulldozer or any of those things, all it reminds me of is Sandy Bridge. Because that's when bulldozer came out.
Okay.
And it was like this kind of joke that AMD is like, oh, we got a bulldozer for that Sandy Bridge, right? Right? Because a bulldozer would plow right through a Sandy Bridge. But Sandy Bridge was in 2011.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to when AMD has moved beyond these.
It's almost like an inside joke that keeps lingering.
But also because the bulldozer, pile driver, excavator have all been based on roughly this. I mean, not the same, but they've all been iterations of the same microarchitecture.
Right.
So they haven't made the IPC leaps that Intel has been making because Intel's been doing microarchitecture changes every 2 years. Anyway, that's all I'm saying. That's why I'm looking forward to next gen. Even if it's just they're calling them Zen, but they're still based on pile driver or whatever the heck.
Well, what would you have them switch over to? Maybe like the names of fish.
I don't know.
The names of a dance.
I would have liked when they relaunched FX for it to really have like smacked the crap out of Intel. That would have been interesting, but it really didn't. I don't know. I think when it comes to AMD discussions, especially on the CPU side right now, what it really rolls down to is people who are like, look, I just want AMD to have some compelling products, some competitive products, and some products that they can make a profit on. Because AMD needs to get back to profitability in order to push Intel more.
Right.
And that's what was benefiting like us as the consumer the most, is when both AMD and Intel were pushing each other each year. Or each few months or 6 months or
whatever.
And
now there's so much less competition now that AMD's kind of fallen off the bandwagon. And Intel can kind of just scrape along and not really have to innovate as frequently as they used to when AMD was still a viable contender. Yeah,
because I always go back to like the FX60, FX62 days, 2006-ish era, when AMD was like, AMD had $1,000 processors, and I'm like, I'd like to see them get back to that. I'd like to see them competing on the high end with Intel.
I'm sick of reading Intel reviews and sick of hearing all about Intel. Like, even though they're great and outstanding, I use Intel every day. It gets kind of depressing.
I finally finished my beer.
Oh, good. All right, no more beer for you.
I was supposed to pound it when we hit 300. But
all right, moving on.
It took me a while. Okay.
Let's go on to the next last story for today's news on my segment. It is the NZXT launching their Noctis 450 case.
Hey.
Ayo. This is a successor to the H440 actually. But when you look at it, it looks a lot like the Phantom series. It looks like it's kind of taking after the Phantom 410, but it's actually using the same internal layout as the H440, which was really, like, I really like that case a lot. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites, but
it has a daring angular design.
It has a very daring, angular, aggressive design, just like the Phantom series did, but yet the internals are much more related to the H440. Huh. So basically what we have here is a new case. It's a mid-tower blue. Key innovation here being the floating panels over the internal steel mesh. So you still have like steel mesh front and steel mesh top, but there are these floating panels like that are almost kind of give an aesthetic vibe.
That's like what you see on the top right here?
Exactly. It's like the whole panel, like they're all kind of like raised like a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch above the steel mesh. So you still get ventilation. You still get pretty good airflow with it, but it just allows you to provide that aesthetic. What we've typically seen in the past with cases like this that are super sleek on the top and bottom is that there's very little ventilation. But this kind of is kind of a middleman between ventilation and a sleek looking front or top panel. Addition to that,
this is the Hardware Connects video that we're watching, by the way, guys.
You should also check out the Dimitri's video.
If you want to watch it after you're done watching this, it's at the youtube.com/HardwareConnects.
It's very beautifully shot. Dimitri's been doing porn for a long time. Hardware porn, I'm sorry. He's been doing hardware porn for a long time. And this video is no different. He also gives a very good analysis of the case, which I think is very fair in his judgment and his critiques of it. But all in all, pretty sweet. It's got we've got...
it supports DDR3?
Supports DDR3.
And DDR4.
Technically...
That is unprecedented in a case.
Technically it does.
Most cases are limited to DDR2.
Imagine if it didn't, though.
Which is weird.
So beyond the floating panels, you've also got some underlighting strips, which go beneath the feet, as you can kind of see there.
Oh, wait, that's what that is?
You got red LED lighting strips beneath for the black case, and you've got blue LED strips for the white case.
You can do ground effects just like with your GTA 5 ride
yes.
you've pimped out? That's
yes.
pretty sweet.
You can get some underlighting accents.
Hey-o.
But unfortunately, it's not RGB. So you're stuck with red if you get a black case, and you're stuck with blue if you buy the white case, which is kind of unfortunate because that limits your...
Those are the two options right now?
Those are your two options. It kind of limits your customizability if you want a green color scheme or something like that. Anything different.
Wait. Dimitri, you're watching right now, right? What is this shot? What is this shot, Dimitri?
That is a beautiful rack focus right there. Look at that.
Except it doesn't rack to anything.
Sometimes it doesn't need to.
It's all just blurry.
But the blurriness, look how cool the blur... Go back to the blurriness. The blurriness looks effing awesome.
Look, all I know is Hardware Connects has a high standard, very, very high standards of quality in their videos, and all I'm saying is I'm disappointed in this shot.
No, wait, you have to play it.
I'm going to hit play, watch what happens.
Look at that. That looks amazing.
It would be amazing if it racked into focus and you could see what was actually there.
But it leaves so much for your imagination. Okay. It's almost better. Anyway,
well, here's a better look at the ground effects. All right. See, this one pulls into focus.
Okay, thank you for your filmography.
I'm just kidding.
Professionalism.
When it comes to like DP stuff, like filming stuff,
Paul's just jelly.
I'm really just jealous of Hardware.
I
took that one shot where I was like, that was a little weird, and I just focused
on
that.
Nitpick that we can find with the Hardware Connects video, like, he totally effed up. I mean, the rest of it still looks way better than anything we've ever done, but he totally effed up in that one shot.
Just that one shot.
So anyway, the entire case comes with 3 FNV2 120mm fans and 1 FNV2 140mm fan, giving you a total of 4 fans. That case comes with 4 fans, which is pretty sweet.
That is nice.
I think that's nice.
That's something I feel like they've skimped on in some cases. Like I hate when you buy, especially a like $80 plus case.
Yeah.
And you get like
one fan. Yeah.
One fan, or even 2 fans.
Or even like a $140 case where you only get 2. I feel like, come on, throw a third one in there. Yeah. Maybe a 4th. So I really like that it comes with 4 included fans, one of them of which is 140mm, and that's the one mounted in the rear. It also comes with an 8-port PWM fan hub, which I think is really sweet. Kind of inspires the idea of water cooling. You can hook up your radiator fans to that thing and kind of tweak and tune them. That can also hook up to your AIO cooler if it's a Kraken NZXT Kraken AO.
Nice.
You can kind of control that independently, which is really nice. Also, beyond that, it supports radiators up to 360 millimeters, which is cool. 5 modular drive trays, integrated PSU shroud, which is what we saw in the H440, which I really like because the power supply is one of those things where, like, well, I'm getting it because it's a good power supply and it fits my budget, but it might not necessarily match, like the side sticker that's on the side panel, or that's on the PSU, might not necessarily match with the rest of your case. And the shroud looks really nice in the H440, and we can expect to see that same thing here in the Noctis 450.
I think it's a brilliant marketing move by NZXT since this is a side panel window case.
Exactly.
Any non-NZXT power supply that goes in there, like you put a Corsair or a Seasonic or who else makes power supplies? Corsair, that's all.
Lepa,
Intermax. There's lots of power supply manufacturers.
That's all.
But yeah, instead of saying any of those, it just still says NZXT. That's brilliant.
Yep.
But it also keeps everything a lot cleaner, as Kyle mentioned. So yeah,
absolutely.
$140.
140. Not bad.
140.
Not bad.
Okay.
That's doable. Integrated, so beyond the shroud, on top of the shroud are 2 SSD mounts, so you can mount some SSDs in there, which is cool. No optical drive support, which I'm cool with. I really don't mind.
Like zero? Absolutely zero?
Zero.
Wow.
Zero.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like there might have been an opportunity to put some in there, but I think based on their floating panel design on the front, I think that's probably attributing to why they don't have optical drive support.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, how are you going to remove that? It's kind of all one piece, right?
Yeah. Okay.
But, I mean, if
still
the
like,
trade-off is more radiator support, I'm okay with that. Just like the Define S. Like, if the trade-off is, like, no optical drive but radiator support, well, hell, this is a great case. I mean, if it's anything like the H440, which it is, the internal layout's almost exactly the same, chances are a lot of people that are water cooling enthusiasts might be interested in this. And, I mean, unless you're getting, like, you have a 5 1/4 inch reservoir, you're not really going to need that optical drive bay there.
And I guess we have moved into the era where, like, 5 1/4 inch drive bay support, you could just not have there. Like, the reason I would argue for it wouldn't be for optical drive support, because I think that's something you can easily get by without at this point in time. Like, I have an external optical drive, that's all I need.
Yeah.
I don't need to install.
It's become an accessory.
Yeah, an ODD in every case. But there are other stuff that can go in a 5 1/4 inch bay. Fan controller, like a reservoir or something like that.
Yeah.
And those are the reasons why, like, for me, why it still has some value.
I would agree.
But I don't know. Like, in the past, I have when I've seen a manufacturer, not with a case, but just in general, like, do away with some legacy thing, like, oh, there's no PCI slot. There's no PCI slots on that motherboard. I'm like, good. Like, good riddance. Like, enough with that old stuff. So I guess in this case, I should also say, like, good, like, no more need for an ODD.
I would say yes, the argument for fan controllers, but at the same time, there's so many good software applications now where you can control and tune your fans even more accurately and automatically than a manual fan controller that, I mean, it becomes more of just a aesthetic thing at that point, or preference.
I think there's still no replacing just a good manual fan controller. To where at any point I could just be like, I want to turn that down.
Yeah, but we're all in the auto generation now. Everything has to be done without us having to lift a finger.
Everything should be automated.
We're all lazy asses. But that wraps it up for the news segments that I have.
That was your first segment?
Show. That was my first segment, but it was also the longest, I'm thinking. So, moving on to the second one, we're doing Face-Off.
By the time right now, we should be done with the show.
No.
I'm not saying we should
end it. You're wrong.
I'm not at all saying we should end it right now.
You always ramble. You just talk and you never stop.
I did not.
It's all your fault. You know this is your doing.
I brought up intelligent and poignant comments.
No, you're wrong.
To respond.
This is why I invented segments like Face-Off.
Right, let's play Face-Off.
Shut up.
Let's do some Face-Off.
All right.
Oh no, I just pushed a button.
We're doing Face-Off. Paul and I going head-to-head in this game that I found within 5 seconds that seems pretty terrible, so I thought I'd share it with all of you. It's Tank Trouble! Yeah. We each play as a tank. We roll around in this little maze thing. We, like, shoot little bullets at each other, but then the bullets, they don't just, like, off. They actually bounce around in the maze, so you could shoot a bullet and it could come right back at you.
I'm using ESDF
You're a dead tank right there. You're all blown up. I'm talking like New Jersey. Okay, ready?
Now, earlier, Kyle was playing this, and he was on the left side, and he kept losing to me, even though I was on the right side, and I was pressing no buttons.
Yeah, I kind of killed myself.
So I think there's some reason why I am now on this side, and he's on that side, but that's okay.
So you're just covering your ass when you lose.
All right, we're going to start everyone in chat, start placing your bets.
Place your bets.
Place your bets. If history is any indication, Kyle will win.
Yeah.
Because I think you're like...
I'm undefeated.
Like 7 for
I'm undefeated.
7 or something like that.
That'll be good for if we have a guest when you're in China. If I have a guest on, we can do a face-off and see if they're better than you. I'll be a great test.
All right, so 2 players I just need to hit, right?
Yep. No, you're good.
2 players.
Press Q to indicate that you are ready and understand how to play the game. Oh, they put us really close. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no! I died.
Oh, looks like you self-defeated there, Kyle. Instead of trying to shoot me, you should have done what I did and just run away.
That's what I'm doing now. Getting the hell out of here.
All right, so I'm the red tank, by the way.
You're the red. I'm the green.
Oh, what's this?
Green is clearly superior.
Oh! I got some kind of bonus.
Get out! No!
Kyle keeps. All right. I don't need to do anything. I just need to let Kyle kill himself.
Nope. I'm gonna kill you right now.
He's been determined.
I'm coming for you. Ah!
Running away.
Ah! I'm hiding in the corner right here.
There's a Wi-Fi signal over there.
Hiding.
I need to get the Wi-Fi signal. So, all right. So the bullets do eventually disappear. That's good to know at least.
Oh, good. Thank God.
I'm just gonna shoot that one right there, and that's gonna eventually kill Kyle.
Nope. No, it's not. How did you do that? How did you do a missile?
I told you I had the Wi-Fi signal here. Now it's coming back towards me. No, go away.
Good. Getting the hell away from you.
I guess the Wi-Fi signal is only temporary.
Oh no, these controls are horrible. Go away.
You really don't want to lose.
Oh! Ah! Damn you! You had such a good vantage point.
I did.
All right,
wait, what?
Best out of 5. Best out of 5.
Oh, come on now.
Yep.
That's not fair at all.
Come on. No! Why are you so good?
I died.
Ha! All right.
I thought it was best 2 out of 3. I should have won already.
No.
Yes.
That happened way too quick. The segment can't.
Oh, like I've never died quickly in one of your segments.
That was practically forfeit. No!
Yeah, you died first.
No, wait. Who did it go to?
You died first.
No.
Yes. No, we both died.
Oh, it was a draw. It was a draw.
It was a draw.
According to that. Wow, we're all blown up here. No! Ah, shit. All right, you got me that time. All right, one more and I will lose.
Just running away.
This is just not my game. Ah!
Oh, you can only shoot a certain number of... Oh, no, they're coming. I died.
Yeah! That's right.
That was terrible.
I blew up, too. All right, I'm going to make a comeback right here.
I feel like I should have won at this point.
No. Damn it! You suck.
Does it not count if we both die? Is that what...
You gotta stay alive. You gotta stay alive for at least for like a couple seconds after I die, otherwise it's the same.
I don't know.
Oh shit!
I think I won.
This has been the first face-off that you've won, I think, fair and square. So congratulations.
Also pulled my... Also, it doesn't matter. We didn't establish a certain number of wins or losses, so that was arbitrary.
I kind of established it in my head.
You established it in your head
you know,
after I won 2 out of 3.
Yeah, because I mean, come on, that was like a 30-second round. So
I have won face-off.
All right, I am no longer undefeated.
I am the face-off champion.
I give my undefeated belt, my golden championship belt to you.
Thank you so much.
We should have a face-off belt.
We should.
We should.
That would...
Someone make a face-off belt and send it to us. We'll wear it on the show.
That would be nice. Somebody else would do that for us.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Good stuff. Yeah. Moving on to the next segment.
Thank you, Cell. Cell congratulated me for finally winning face-off.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
All the congrats you can get. All right. Here's a segment a lot of you guys have been waiting for. I was mentioning this on my Twitter earlier today.
Oh, yes.
It's Pimp My PC.
Hell yeah.
The obligatory ripoff segment of Pimp My Setup from Matt Philly, which is a great show. You should go check it out at youtube.com/swashintv. If you haven't already, this is where I got the idea. I was like, whoa, he's talking about like people sending in pictures of their desk setups, and he like critiques them, and he like talks about them and how they can make it better. I was like, I'm gonna steal that idea. I'm gonna steal it and make it about PCs instead of desks. And
Cal did exactly that.
Lo and behold. So that's what we're doing right now. You can also follow him on Twitter at PimpMySetup. But here we go. Also, I wanted to say congratulations to Matt because he built his first PC today ever. He did a live stream of it.
Did he finish?
I think so. I mean, that's what she said. So, I would assume so. But you were watching.
I started watching him at about 9 a.m. this morning.
And he was still streaming.
I had to drive into LA.
Yeah.
About 5 hours later, I came back, and he was still streaming, although he said that he had stopped for a while. So I don't know how far along he got.
I'm pretty sure he finished. I'm confident.
It was an X99 build, and looked like a pretty good system. So
sweet.
Yeah.
Congrats, Matt. So here we go. We're going to be talking about some of your guys' rigs that you sent in. We have 3, 4, 5, 6 of you that I pulled pictures from. Thank you all, by the way, for sending in pictures. Even if I didn't get to you on this episode, I really appreciate you guys sending in those photos. So here's the first one from Jose. And this is a water-cooled rig, which I thought was kind of interesting in certain ways. I think some things worked and some things didn't, or could be improved upon. I like water-cooled rigs in general. I think that they have the potential to look really nice, but I'm also struggling with the color scheme in this system. Sorry, that was unexpected.
It really just came out of nowhere.
It really did.
I don't know what happened.
Didn't even see that one coming.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've never really seen a case or a system with purple to be able to pull off the purple and red thing.
Okay, here's.
I don't really.
So let me
mesh. It doesn't mesh with.
Kyle showed me this image earlier.
I did.
We were giving it some initial critiques.
Yep.
But here's what I will say. Functionally, I think everything here is awesome.
Yeah.
You have a water-cooled system. You have all the cables tucked away.
Right.
You have very direct lines.
And they're not crossing each other.
They're not crossing each other, going from all of your radiators to your CPU block, GPU block, and the reservoir and the pump.
Yeah.
Functionally, again, I think everything here is really clean.
Yeah.
And I bet the system runs great.
Yeah.
Now, back to what Kyle was saying, which was that aesthetically, it's not our favorite aesthetically. Let's just put it that way, Jose. And Jose, if you have invested a lot of time and effort and this is your baby, our apologies, but you did submit it for critiquing here.
Yeah. And this is just our personal opinion.
Yeah, our thought was just the purple and the red doesn't go for us. And the fact that the purple is the tubing color means that it's not necessarily difficult to, like, change, per se.
Yeah.
I can't tell, but it looks like you have clear liquid because there's a clear reservoir.
Right.
And then you have cable extensions for the power supply, which is much preferable to the default power supply cables that come along with it. But you have red extensions, and then the power supply itself has kind of yellow accents on it.
Right.
So that didn't seem to mesh as much as well. If you could swap out that tubing for
red,
either red or just clear,
and maybe add some red liquid in there.
Yeah, and maybe do red liquid. Pretty sweet. Bear in mind, red liquid invariably stains everything that's inside the loop.
Or,
so
you know
keep
what?
That in mind.
Red is overused. Screw red. Get some purple cables in there if you wanted to.
That could be cool too.
Save those red cables, those for another build, and get some purple ones and get some nice purple LED strips in there. I think purple's sick. I think purple makes for a really cool looking build, and it's different. It's not the red, green, or blue. It's not RGB, which is what you see on 90% of most custom liquid cooled cases these days. Systems. So I think there's a lot of potential here. I think you have structured this setup, this loop, really well. As Paul said, functionally, it's great. I just think since this is Pimp My PC and not just make my PC functional, there are some aesthetic choices that could be much improved, I think. And also, I think I feel like you might have some extra room there on that radiator to even throw in some extra fans. If you had some clearance there for some push-pull action, I think that would also definitely make the most of your loop in terms of like thermal dissipation and whatnot.
I also only just now realized that he's got like alpha cool block, alpha cool radiators, and then there's like this one black Noctua fan at the back.
Yes.
Which is a good fan.
Yeah.
And I'm not positive what model that fan is, but that might be...
It's one of their newer ones.
That fan might be more of a static pressure fan than an airflow fan. That's something to consider.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
It might be one of their airflow fans.
I don't know for sure, though. But yeah, I think the yellow on the power supply is really throwing me off.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see that covered up somehow.
Yeah.
To blend in with everything else. And then, yeah, you just got to resolve the purple and the red. They don't go well. You've got red on your motherboard, so I would say maybe stick with the red and do something else with the purple.
Yep, I would agree.
Probably the easiest solution. Or like Hal said, going all purple would make it a very unique build or something. But thanks for submitting that, Jose.
Yeah, thanks, man. Moving on to the next one, we've got Kent, and Kent sends in his, I believe this is a Fantex case. Of course, it looks really nice. This might be the Enthoo Primo? I think it's the Enthoo Primo. Or Pro, Enthoo Pro.
I have zero experience with any of these Fantex cases.
I've never used any of them either.
I'm still going to point out, anyone from Fantex who's watching, send me one of your freaking cases.
Yeah, me too.
So I don't have to keep relying on Dimitri's videos.
Double it. Yep.
Kyle too.
Yep. I like hardware.
Nice build.
Yes, very clean. I kind of wanted to use this as an example almost. I just love how he utilizes the rubber grommets for cable management very well. I like how he did the straight down option for his video card cables, just going straight into the bottom. He could have looped it to the one closer to the video cards and kind of made it curved, but he kind of just goes for it. He kind of just like, I'm just going to make it straight down, and it works really well. I think it matches, it's very parallel to the rest of the case. It matches. I think overall cable management is fantastic. I don't even see any other cables in the case other than his CPU, maybe some front panel connectors there, but overall, it's a beautiful looking case. The LED is very subtle, but complements the rest of the components very well and very nicely.
I gotta be honest that the power cables coming from the graphics cards, I would have gone into that grommet.
You think so?
Yeah, I would have gone into the grommet to the right of the graphics cards. I mean, I appreciate they're sleeved cables.
Yeah.
They're not bad, and this isn't bad. This is, again, just an aesthetic choice. I think I would have gone to the side.
I could see that working too, yeah.
It's a little too long of a run for those cables.
Yeah, I could see that, yeah.
To my mind, but...
that is true.
But it's not terrible by any extent.
I just like how it's different.
I also like how well it seems like the stock coolers on the, I'm guessing these are 780s, 780 Ti's, 980s, or Titans. I don't know what graphics card those are. Lord knows NVIDIA's used those coolers on quite a few of them.
Yes, they
but they fit in really well.
Yeah.
Granted, this image might be washing out a little bit of the color.
Yeah.
Because those GeForce GTX is green. I'm guessing the rest of the LEDs here are white.
Yeah.
But overall, like, really clean, nice build.
Yep.
Good cable management.
Yeah.
That's it's an X99 build, I have to imagine.
Yes, definitely.
Or maybe X79.
Possibly.
I can't say for sure. Anyway.
Overall, very clean looking build.
Great job, Kent.
Thanks for sending that on, Kent. Next we got Boxfish. He sent in, I've got two pictures because it's kind of you got a funky angle here.
Oh, yeah.
So this is one angle of his case. This looks like, I'm not sure which case this is. This might be the Half XB or something along those lines. But he's got a pretty beefy video card in there from Sapphire. Looks like he's got an ASUS motherboard, and I think is that a debug LED that he's got in the PCI by one slot?
This is a unique piece of hardware, and I could not tell you right off the top of my head what exactly it is.
Right. Let me know. Let us know in the chat if you know what that is, because I haven't come across one of those, but I'm sure it's definitely worth knowing about. So let us know there. But
yeah,
I think if you look down there below on the bottom half of the case, there's a drive that's just kind of hanging there that does not look like it's fixed to anything.
This SSD here?
I think, the SSD is just kind of plugged in and kind of just hanging loose. So, I mean, I don't know. If you really wanted to pimp out your PC, I'd find a mounting spot for that, or at least Velcro it to some safe surface. And that would kind of just allow you to move it around more easily, and it just looks a little bit more tidy overall. Additionally, I think maybe an aftermarket cooler. It looks like you've got a pretty beefy video card in there. So why not match that with a nice air cooler on your CPU?
I'm guessing that's a 290 from Sapphire.
Yeah, I would say that's 290X.
Or maybe a 290X, yeah.
Yeah. But the Intel stock cooler, I just feel like it's so mismatched with that beefy cooler on your GPU that, I mean, I'm guessing you've got to be overclocking that thing because it's got some nice cooling capacity on your video card. But your CPU, on the other hand, is just so limited by that stock cooler. It's pretty much the stock cooler. The stock Intel cooler is just meant to operate at stock clock speed. So if you've got an unlocked processor in there, especially, you might as well get a nicer, at least air cooler to push it a bit further than what it's rated at out of the box. So
yeah, I'll say it looks like aesthetically you're not really doing a whole lot as far as the color coordination goes, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Sure. Because
you got like, gold motherboard, blue graphics card, black a lot elsewhere. But again, there's nothing wrong with that. Also, that stock cooler, like Kyle already mentioned, that's one of the first things I'd probably swap out. But if you don't have an unlocked processor, if you're rolling with like a non-K SKU, then you're fine. Then don't worry about it. Just leave that as is until it starts to get loud.
Unless you just want it to look more badass.
Yeah. And I'm very curious what that riser card is. That's a PCI card. As far as I can tell.
Someone said it looked like a postcard for error correction. So maybe it is a debug LED.
Yeah, but that's like, I'm pretty sure that is a PCI slot, not a PCI Express slot. So that's an old...
That Carlos guy mentioned that the cooler from my last video that I did a review on would be decent in this build. I would have to agree. I think there's enough front-facing fans to push the scattered airflow from that downward-firing fan out the back of the case. So I think that could be good. And also, it looks like you might have to deal with a lower profile cooler in the half XB as well. Some other people confirm it's the half XB.
We're hearing from Cell and Strider it's a postcard.
All right.
Which is something that I have not used myself.
Neither have I. I mean, I'm guessing it's just a debug LED.
So it's probably going to show postcodes for motherboards that don't have a debug LED there.
Right.
And maybe some other functionality as well.
That's cool.
That's cool though.
Yeah.
Unique little
that's a
piece
first.
of hardware.
I've never seen a dedicated PCI E card for that, but cool. Thank you, Boxfish. Very nice. Moving on to Andrew. Andrew's got a nice custom liquid cooling build here, and it's kind of got like almost like a blood theme going on. Like I feel like it's just like a living organism with blood pumping through its veins. Because it's got, he did some hardline tubing.
Red fluid.
I can see he's got some hardline tubing that's clear, but the fluid itself is red.
The red and white gives it kind of an ambulance. I'm not, ambulance isn't the word I'm looking for, but like,
like a medical.
Yeah, medical response. It's usually white with like a red cross or whatever, right? Right. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is the in-car PC that all ambulances should have.
We've got an EK block. Looks like an EK pump as well.
That radiator is ridiculous.
Radiator at the bottom.
Holy
good Lord.
shiznit. That is
like a 70 millimeter thick.
Business there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is insane. Like, I didn't even notice that until now. But I really like how you...
Actually, the top radiator is also massive.
Yeah, I mean, they're both ridiculous. But holy crap, I'm curious to know what your temps are on that thing under load. But I love it altogether. I think the fittings are really unique. It almost kind of looks like piping, like PVC piping.
Yeah.
And I think that's different that I haven't really seen much of in other custom liquid cooling builds. I kind of wanted to see the liquid being more solidified. Like, instead of being like semi-transparent like it is, if it was just like a thick red...
More opaque?
Less opaque. Like if it was more like crimson blood.
More opaque would mean you couldn't see through it as much.
Oh, more opaque. Oh, yes. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
More opaque would be kind of cool because then it would really feel like there was blood flowing through the system. I mean, only if that's what you're going for. But that's the first thing that I think of when I see this. I think of like a hospital, like I'm in some sterile environment where these medical things are going on. I really like how you painted the Corsair fans white, and you even did like a crimson red on the aesthetic rims.
I'll tell you what I'm curious about.
The country cock.
Hold on, I have to bring it up here because people can't see it. What's with the country crock?
I like how you close the window to make it more climactic. You scroll down.
Well, I had to bring the window up. Why is there butter? Why is there a tub of butter at the bottom?
I don't know, but I just can't believe that
maybe
it's
he
not
was
butter.
using it to drain. It looks like he's got a drain tube.
Yes, he does.
Going on, or maybe to fill. That looks actually more like
tube.
a fill tube up there at the top.
But if he's got the country cock down there, he's probably draining.
I will say, since I have done one rigid hardline tube build so far, I can now be all super picky about them. This, right? Thank you for confirming that, Kyle.
Sure.
All right, this top left run that you have going on here dips a little bit too far south.
Too far down
for me.
Yeah, it should be a right angle.
Yeah,
ideally.
If it's coming straight down there, it should be going straight right. Right now, it goes a little bit too far down and then dips and it has to go back up a little bit.
But at the same time, he didn't have Jay to do it for him.
That's true. What are you saying?
Nothing.
I bent my own tubes, thank you.
That's what she said.
What does that mean? You...
Whatever you want it to.
Shut your mouth.
Shut your pie hole.
Punch you.
I would have to agree. The right angles, if you're doing a hardline tubing custom liquid cooling case, the right angles are where it's at. I mean, the less angular you have to make them, anything above right angle, the better. I think that's... Otherwise, you might as well just go with a soft liquid tubing solution where it's just...
But this is one of those builds that you look at, it immediately looks awesome, and if you're going to critique it, you have to dig in there to find things to critique about it.
Oh, yeah.
It definitely looks not great. One where you'd immediately think like, oh, I would have done that different. It's an awesome build. So,
absolutely.
Very good job. That was from...
It's usually the really nice-looking ones where Paul and I like to critique them more because, you know, it's like, how much further can you really go? Well, you really have to dig a lot deeper to get some improvement.
That was from Andrew, right?
Yep, that was Andrew. So next up, we got Gunner. We got two more here. Gunner's build right here. It looks like he's got an EVGA cooler, an Asus ROG motherboard, Seasonic power supply. It looks like a Define R4 to me, which is a great case. The first thing I noticed here was that I felt like the cabling could be a bit more refined, especially with the USB 3 cable there. Yeah. Kind of trailing off to the side behind the drive cage. I feel like, well, you've got that rubber grommet there, even though you're sharing it with the PCI Express cables, you could still probably stick it in there and just make it look a little bit more tidy. It's kind of distracting. Your eyes kind of follow that line.
What is this EVGA branded air cooler?
It's probably from the Hadron or something. Didn't they have a Hadron? Like their Hadron had a cooler or something like that?
I don't know.
No?
I don't think so.
I thought they had a cooler.
Well, there's the Hadron Air and the Hadron Hydro, so I don't know. It's probably just one of those random EVGA, like, EVGA CPU cooler. What?
I mean, I don't know. I kind of noticed that too. But that's what makes me think it's proprietary, like for their system alone. Yeah, it's this thing. EVGA is
there we go.
Competitor.
That's it. Antec cooler.
Wait, what? The Superclock?
Oh, look at all those pop-ups on this.
I love ads.
Website.
EVGA Superclock CPU cooler. So apparently they've had a CPU cooler.
Since when? What year? What year was this article posted?
This is 2011.
2011. All right, yeah. So that's kind of what I was thinking. It's probably just like a one-off thing the EVGA did that I just happened to miss.
Yeah. But it looks like he's replaced the fan.
Nekroev posted the link to the EVGA cooler.
Thank you, Nekroev.
Thank you, Nek. Oh yeah, there it is. EVGA ACX CPU cooler.
Oh, so that's even more updated.
$50. You can still buy it right now.
Wow. So this guy's clearly replaced it since then. I'm curious to see how this thing performs.
I want to download the latest drivers for this CPU cooler.
But that's weird that it's got like a clear... Is that an LED fan? It must be an LED fan. It's all clear. Anyway, this looks pretty good for the most part. Like I said, just maybe refine up tune up the cable management a little bit. Yeah.
Looks like a 980.
980.
It's like a fully populated rack and DIMMs there, so I'm guessing you got like a 16 gig memory.
Yep.
Seasonic power supply. I believe that is the X Power 80 Plus Gold, which is a very good power supply.
Yeah. I love Seasonic power
which has the fantastic power supply feature, which no fan spinning.
So
like the power supplies, I feel like some power supply manufacturers should come out and be like, you know all those graphics cards now? It's like, hey, the fans don't spin unless you like actually do something with the
We're doing the
graphics card
same
deck.
thing.
We've been doing that with power supplies for like a long time, because they have.
Yeah.
I have a Platimax power supply from like 2011 or 2012 that does that.
Yeah, but it's different. It's different with the power supply.
It's a little bit different, but that is a very excellent power supply, fully modular, 80 plus gold rated.
Could be red though.
There is an SSD. Okay, for a second I thought that there was only mechanical drives.
Right.
Nice build though. See, I mean, for me, like these builds, like they have everything tucked away. There's nothing. Yeah. There's no major impedance to airflow here. Right. I can't see the intake fans on the front, but I'm guessing you've got at least one, maybe two.
Yeah.
But yeah, nice build overall.
Yep.
Very solid.
Sweet deal.
Good job. Wait, who was that from?
That was from Andrew, I believe.
Gunner.
Gunner.
Yes. Thank you, Gunner. Submitting that. All right, we
Thanks,
got one
Gunner.
more.
And our last system for the day, for the night, is Tyler, and he sent this in. This looks to me like an NZXT variant? Or no, it's Fractal. No, it's NZXT. No, it's Fractal. It's Fractal. Looks like, yeah, it's black and white. It's got black and white. It's not NZXT. Look at the drive cage. That's definitely Fractal right there.
Fractal? Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you're right.
So looks pretty good. I love the X99 board that you have in there from ASUS. It looks really great. I believe that video card is maybe a 780, I want to say.
It's an ASUS DirectCU.
DirectCU. The one giant heat pipe cues me into thinking it's either a 780 or...
That might be... I feel like the 780 might have more heat pipes. I could be wrong.
I remember them having a high-end car that just had one heat pipe in the last year or two.
They have those 10mm heat pipes.
But I think having a more neutral colored power supply, and this is like the thing that we keep going to, and that's why I like the H440 from NZXT so much, is because they have that power supply shroud, and the power supply is one of those things that usually doesn't match the rest of the case when people are trying to color coordinate, you know, to get that utmost aesthetic appeal. So I think the yellow throws it off a little bit. I think if it was red, because you've got the debug LED, which is red, so if you had that matching, or if it was just white or blank or plain or something else that was more neutral, black or white would do really well. Even red, you know, could get away with that. But I think that would really tie in everything together. It would be a little bit less distracting. My eyes are kind of drawn to the yellow because it's different from everything else in the case. So if you just really want a more neutral look and be able to appreciate everything overall, without something standing out like a sore thumb, maybe try a different power supply, utilize that one for a different system. Another thing I will say is that... I
was going to say not even like a different power supply, but like don't underestimate the just how basically simple it is to get some black spray paint, cover up the side with the modular cables, cover up the side with the outlet, and just paint it. Like takes 10 minutes. Let it dry for a day. Yeah. Pop it back in, and you know you have aesthetically you have a much better experience. Again, if you don't want to do that, and like that is an awesome power supply. The Corsair RM1000 is a great power supply. Yep. And there's no reason to pull it out of that system and paint it other than just purely aesthetics. So. I always kind of go back and forth when it comes down to something like that.
Absolutely. Yep. One thing I was curious about is I'm curious to know what configuration your AIO cooler is in, because you've got the two fans up top. So I'm wondering if that's in pull.
That's pull.
Or if it's in push.
That's probably pull.
I would assume it's pull.
And that's probably going along with the prevailing idea that if you have it in pull like that, any dust that collects is going to collect on the bottom of the radiator right there, so you'll have direct access to it, and you won't have to remove fans or pull the radiator off in order to clean it out. Granted, it's still a pain in the ass to clean.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty negligible.
But yeah, the pull, I mean, when you're talking about push versus pull, performance-wise, there's not much of a difference. Pull does have the benefit of still... No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. I mean, based on the H100 that I tested, it was a degree or two, but I still think that a degree or two isn't enough to really make an argument either way.
You tested an H100?
I did.
Push and pull?
Push and pull. I saw a 1 to 2 degree difference.
Okay.
That's all.
Right.
But I mean, 1 to 2 degrees, what is that going to do in the long term? I mean...
Cause your
what kind of real performance are you going to gain?
If you want your computer to burst into flames,
you better do push.
Then you gotta do push.
You better push for it.
Push, that's your only option.
Alright, that is going to wrap it up for Pimp My Setup. Thank you guys so much for sending in those pictures. We enjoyed rating them and pimping them out for you. I think this is like my equivalent of sword fight almost, where you have sword fight in every single one of your halves of the show. I think I'm obligated now to do Pimp My PC because we've gotten such an overwhelmingly positive response from it that I feel like we can't stop now.
Yes.
And it's all we owe it all to Matt for letting us copy him.
Who?
Who? You know, the guy we stole the idea from.
That person you're filing the copyright claim against?
Philly, yes, exactly.
All right, we have one last segment, as we always do, which is Q&A.
Yes.
It's also late, though.
Yep.
So
hurry up.
Hurry
your ass up and ask us some damn questions. So we can get to gaming and play some GTA 5 later.
For Funsies.com says, if you guys had to wake up at 4 a.m., what time would you go to bed? At 4 a.m., I would probably try to get to bed by 11. I feel like 5 hours is my, like...
No.
If I get 5 hours, like, I can live.
No. I need at least 7.
Are you serious?
I'd have to go to bed at, like, 9.
If we're talking
4 a.m. is hell,
If we're talking about a regular, like, if it's for a week, if it's every day for a week, then yes, I need more time. If it's a one day thing...
Oh, one-time thing.
And I need to get up at 4 a.m. because I'm going snowboarding or something like that, I need 5 hours is fine.
3 to 5 hours if it's one day. If it's a regular thing, I need at least 7 hours.
I prefer 5 because I feel like with 5 I can still act normally. If I'm trying to get by on, like, 3... And, like, you know, you get the shakes, and you're like, I have to eat a bunch of food, and it's
Michael
all
J.
crazy.
Fox on that shit. Yeah.
What
else you got for us?
ZM Andrew X asks, Paul, how do you film the overhead shots in your videos? That's a good question, Andrew.
Straps it to his penis.
What? No.
Just helping you out.
All right, so if you've seen any of my, I have a few garage work log videos. I'm actually hopefully going to do another one of those soon.
Yep.
Where I showed on the roof of my garage, I built like a kind of a wooden, just basic structure, kind of a frame up there.
Yep.
So on one side of that, I just have a clamp, which is attached to a webcam, which is a C920 Logitech webcam, which is a 1080, pretty decent webcam.
Yep.
It's not anything like we have a camcorder right now with a capture card. That's what we're coming to you guys with live right now, which hopefully is a little bit better quality than a standard webcam. But I'm using the webcam, and I'm using some software called
Pornhub.
No.
No. Okay.
No, I'm using some software which is called
doesn't matter.
Chronolapse.
Same shit.
Chronolapse can take control of the webcam, and then I can assign Chronolapse to tell the webcam to take a picture every 2 seconds or every 3 seconds or every 5 seconds or whatever. So I set that up, and that's just taking a top-down shot of whatever I'm doing for a few hours or however long. Then I take all those images into Adobe Premiere, and I bring them in there, and I put them into an Adobe Premiere timeline for about 2 frames each.
Yep.
And that makes a big long time lapse. I usually render the time lapse at a higher resolution than 1080, and then that's how I do the movements. If you've seen, like, I have a top-down shot and then the camera kind of slides a little bit from one side to the other. That's done in post-production. I take the larger image and I just have Adobe zoom in a little bit and move from side to side. Okay.
Sweet. You're a sissy. I capture everything raw. I just press record and film like on 3 different cameras.
I did that too.
Nope.
I use a combination of techniques.
Nope. That's stupid.
Okay.
You could film everything.
Grassy Loki asks, why not show my server build? I did not know that existed, Grassy Loki. Although I bet it's a good server build. But it's a great server.
If only we knew about these things.
Sand4201 asks, what is you guys' take on custom painting your case?
Why not?
I haven't custom painted a case. Like, my aesthetic preferences lean more towards like kind of more simple, like all one color stuff.
Yeah,
so like
too.
all black or whatever. Like an actual custom painted like mural or scene or like a character on the side of the case.
Yeah.
I've definitely seen a lot of those, and when they're well done by like somebody who can paint well, they look awesome.
Yeah.
To my mind, whenever I see like a high-end custom paint job, I go back to the maximum PC ultimate build. What do they call that? The maximum PC. The Dream Machine. The maximum PC would do every year, and often they would be like, "Oh, this is a $20,000 system or whatever." You know, they'd try to throw a big dollar amount at it, which I understand.
Yeah.
But often, like, $5,000 of that would be the paint job, because they went to some place that does really good paint. But then it'd be like, it's $5,000 for this paint job, and I was always like, that's a pretty nice way of inflating the cost of that system.
Yeah.
But also, you know, on the
Where
complete opposite side of like improving the performance of the system, a custom paint job does nothing for that. It just makes it look pretty.
Right.
So I tend to lean more towards simple paint jobs. Like if you're going to do custom paint, it's like I'm repainting the whole case a single color, so I can do it at home and I don't have to like get out my airbrush or whatever.
Yeah.
Not that I have
one. Or I can
one.
see like a little emblem or a little logo somewhere, like nothing
simple.
Too loud. I don't like anything too loud because it bothers me. It gets old when it's just too over the top.
Beyond something like that, the custom paint jobs that you see that are like a mural or a character or whatever, those are all really, really highly dependent on the artist who draws them. And then it becomes more of like, is this a good artist or not?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, if you have a good artist and somebody who does good paint stuff, and they're like, hey, like let me paint the side of your case, like hell yeah, that's pretty sweet. Yeah. It's like having like like the Pimp van, right, with like the mural on the back.
Yeah.
With like the Aztec woman.
Pimp van, Aztec woman.
No, I'm taking it in a different direction.
Sorry,
that's okay.
I don't follow.
No, you see those in Southern California from time to time.
Okay.
All right. And stripes do make everything go faster.
Yes, they do.
Yes.
In your opinion, what's the best free video editing software?
Free?
Well, if you're willing to break some laws, you can get Adobe Premiere Pro CS6 for a very reasonable and competitive price. You might go to jail. But free? I don't know of any good free editing software. I mean, I'm so spoiled by Premiere Pro that for me to like look back at a free software is just like, oh, it's so limited. What can you do here?
Yeah.
And I've messed around with free software in the past before resorting to other means of acquiring higher priced programs. Yeah. And they've all fallen so short of everything that I wanted to do with them, or they've just been unstable and they've crashed left and right.
Windows Movie Maker, if you're using Windows, I know it doesn't do everything we want to do with it, but
crashed on me every time I used it. Maybe that was just my computer.
All right, it might be your computer. It's free and it does the basics. It'll let you chop a video together, and then somebody else suggested one here. Sony Vegas, they have a paid suite, but I think they also have a free version that might be a reasonable as well. Yeah,
it's so worth it though to pay the extra premium to get like Creative Cloud or something, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I've recommended Adobe Premiere Elements to a few people because Adobe has the Elements software and it does have some pretty powerful stuff for like a basic suite that costs like $70 to $80 to $90, I feel like.
Yeah.
But yeah, as soon as you start transitioning over into like Creative Cloud or I don't use crap, what's the Apple one? I don't use Final Cut.
iMovie?
Final Cut Adobe Creative Cloud or Adobe
Creative Crap.
Adobe Creative Crap.
Yes. I'll use Creative Crap.
Final Cut and Avid are kind of the three top industry, like they use them for professional movies and stuff like that. And as soon as you start delving into those and seeing what they can do and the level of control they give you, it's hard to step back to the simpler ones.
Yeah.
So for that reason, and especially if you're at all interested in doing something professionally, like building it up to a career or something like that, investing in Adobe Creative Cloud I think is a great option, because I mean it's a pretty minimal dollar amount per month that you can pay, and you can use their software, and it's something that's used very, very commonly in this industry.
We've actually got a couple people on Twitter and in chat saying that Lightworks is an excellent free video editor, which is something I don't really have much experience with, but I mean if multiple sources are saying that it's good, then it's probably worth looking into. We typically have a pretty educated audience, so I usually take their suggestions seriously, more or less. But thank you for the question. Next up, do you have anything? We've got, what are your thoughts on LN2 cooling? I think it's badass. I think I'm not advanced enough to do shit like that, but if I could, I would.
Yeah, my thoughts on LN2 are, it's cool and it's interesting to watch. It's completely impractical for anyone outside of people who are either working directly for someone in the industry like a Gigabyte or an Asus or an Intel or an AMD, going to a show and doing a presentation to be like, here, we're using LN2 and we're overclocking to 6, 7, 8 gigahertz or whatever.
It's tournament shit.
Like, you can't run a system long term on LN2.
No.
You can't say, oh look, I overclocked to 7 gigahertz. Okay, let me render my videos on that 7 gigahertz machine for the next 2 months. Like, it's impractical in a lot of ways. So it's cool to watch at shows. It's really fun to watch some of the LN2 guys because, I mean, it's very visual and like the steam and everything that goes up and everything like that. But just don't like invest too much into it. Don't buy a motherboard, like crazy overclocking motherboard, because it's got a bunch of stuff built into it for like sub-zero overclocking.
Right.
You're not going to do that. You're never going to use it.
Unless you plan on being a professional overclocker and entering in tournaments, then go for it.
Then that's okay. But yeah, like the like overclocking boards now, especially on the Intel side, are largely wasted because unless you're doing exotic cooling, unless you're doing sub-ambient cooling, which means you're doing phase change or you're doing LN2 or liquid helium, your super overclocking board isn't going to overclock your 4790K exactly the same as your entry-level $100 Z97 board.
Right.
Like, exactly.
And you'll be the worst person to game with, because you'll be gaming, you're like, yeah, I'm running like 5.2 gigahertz at like 1.2 volts. And you're like, oh shit, hold on, guys, I gotta like pour more LN2 on my CPU. Hold on. And then everyone's like, dude, you just fucking lost the game. We lost the raid. What the hell? So, yeah, impractical, as Paul said. But
really cool to see. And if you go to an event like a BlizzCon or like a Computex or CES or something like that, and they have an LN2 demonstration, like,
check it out.
Go up, talk to the guys who are doing it, because I guarantee every one of them will be happy to like sit there and talk to you ad nauseum about like what they do and the overclocking and all that kind of stuff. Because it's really cool. It's very niche, but it's very interesting.
Yep. Yeah. I think Paul, on that note, I think we've run over our time limit again.
Yeah, we have. We've
got to close this up. We got to wrap this up. We got to get you home. We both got to eat dinner at some point and then hop back onto Twitch to play some GTA 5 maybe later tonight.
I'm going to Mocha Salsa.
You're going to Mocha Salsa.
Oh, yeah.
Mocha Salsa is a great Southern California Mexican restaurant that has amazing carne asada French fries.
24/7.
And other amazing things
Usually it's a great place to go at 2 a.m. when you're kind of drunk.
Yeah. Which is usually the situation we're in after Awesome Hardware.
No, Kyle, I've moderated my drinking.
Perfectly fine on your 10% alcohol. You basically just drank like half a bottle of wine right there.
I'm fine.
Most wines are like 11%.
I'm fine, Kyle.
Okay. Well, anyways, thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm so stoked that we hit over 300 viewers today.
Me too.
Huge milestone.
Holy
Definitely
crap.
some affirmation. Thank you guys so much for your support and watching us and staying tuned throughout the entire show. If you didn't check out Paul's segment, go ahead and check that out earlier. And we'll see you guys next week on Tuesday.
Also, if you want to watch our gaming later this evening,
yes,
it's on Kyle's Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/AwesomeSauceNetwork.
And
my channel, which would be twitch.tv/Paul's Hardware. And you guys can use the KB mod stuff to watch us both at the same time.
Yep.
And if you guys are on later tonight, we're gonna GTA 5, right? We're not gonna play anything. We're gonna play some GTA 5.
I need some GTA 5 right now.
We're gonna jump into that. I haven't played in like 6 days.
It's been like 72 hours for me, and that's way too long as well. So hopefully we'll see you guys in the stream. Go ahead and check us out at our respective Twitch channels, and thank you guys so much again for watching. Have a good night, everyone. We'll see you guys next time.